incognito today.
Welcome back to The Ether, the show that disrupts the way you think about running your business. Join me, Brandon, and my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator of What If, on today's episode. Our goal is to provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom. What is crack-a-lackin', my innovative friend?
Yes. How's it going?
You hated every part of every single word I just said, didn't you? That made you so uncomfortable.
Makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love starting episodes out this way. It gives me a little bit of joy inside.
Oh, all right. You like the uncomfortable.
It's
your ether, man.
I do. Yeah. That's my ether. I thrive in the uncomfortable. Do you ever go into, like, I don't know, stores or weird conversations and just make them awkward on purpose? You don't do that? Okay, then you thrive in the uncomfortable too.
Awkward on purpose? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I find so much entertainment in that. We've traveled together a number of times. We've gone to restaurants together. You know, I love making, whether it's the agent at the gate checking us into our plane, or it's the waitress at the restaurant. I mean, if I can make it more uncomfortable, I would.
Yeah, you definitely think that they enjoy what's going on a lot more than they do.
No. I actually know they don't, but I enjoy it. Okay. And that's entertaining for me.
I've seen you sometimes that you're like, isn't this great? This is the best night of her life. No, it isn't. She cannot wait until her shift is over. You are not making her night.
Yeah, but it's one to remember.
Oh, she remembers.
Anyway,
you guys in town long? No, good.
That's an innovative way to approach society, but we're not talking about that. We're picking up the conversation from last week. We talked about innovation in your business, and you mentioned in the middle of the episode, we want to talk about how it actually shows up in the 10 disciplines that we talked about in the harmonious architecture. So why don't we dive in there? Where would you like to start with how innovation shows up in your business?
Ooh, well, so let me first preface it by saying, which we talked about last time, but in case people are new to this. So innovation is kind of like, there's an energy to it. And if it is not channeled, if you just say, we're going to be innovative, we love innovation, we're just going to innovate for the sake of innovation. It's like electricity just running through your hallways. It can be very disruptive. It can destroy your business if you're constantly innovating and never executing. You can just constantly be adding new things and new dimension to your product before you ever launch and just die on the vine. Or you can take really good things and innovate yourself out of it because you changed for the sake of change, or you changed because you were chasing $1. There's a lot of ways you circumvented your core values, a lot of ways you can destroy your company through innovation. So it is not always a good thing. So when people say innovation, we need more of it. Careful. That's like saying we need more electricity pumping through here when you actually need the wires to channel it into a container. So now we have incandescent light. Okay? So now it's a useful tool. So we'll just say that as a caveat in innovation. So the level of innovation varies by the business and sector that you're in. Sometimes we don't want innovation, right? We want enough innovation to allow us to scale without circumventing our core values. Is essentially it. We want to continue to deliver the value we're delivering, and then innovate so that we can. And what is that so that we can? So that we can either reach more people, we can either serve the people we're already serving more deeply and broadly, or we're trying to serve a wider audience. So serve more should be the instigator of the need for change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So how then innovation, how we can channel it is by saying we're going to look at it through the lens of the harmonious business architecture. Because if we're trying to run a business that can scale further, faster, funner, harmonious is the way to do that. It is the 20% in all 10 of the mandatory must-have disciplines in your business at the appropriate volumes or level of complexity is our new language that we're saying. the right level of complexity to help your business grow. Okay, because certainly what a Nike needs around their processes, two guys with a taco truck do not need. They don't need the same level of complexity, but all 10 must be represented. We have this down. Great. So we'll go through Harmonious in the order of the acronyms. So H, that's home. This is our people. So this is also one of the most important places where we are going to manage and inculcate this culture of change.
I have an innovation under home.
What's your innovation?
We won't talk about that yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so, oh yes, we have an innovation here. And so if you don't have the thing that we're going to be talking about next week and the weeks after, it's important to understand, to be telling people that they have the freedom to be innovative. Now, that doesn't mean design their own processes. It doesn't mean to go off book. I've certainly seen that happen where where employees, the best of intentions at Fortune 100 companies, did things because they said, oh, well, this made the process easier, or this made the process, oh, the customer's a lot happier, not realizing that that step in the process that they cut out, all the best intentions in the world, was the main way that the company was going to get paid. So whoopsie, and then I made a big problem. Okay, so we're not just telling them go and innovate on your own, but the culture of innovation should say with our core values in mind and our mission, the people we're serving in mind, first and foremost, what innovative ideas do you have to make things better, faster, smarter, more efficient, more gooder in all those ways? And then channel those ideas to a collective place where they can be incubated and followed up on. But it gives people the feeling that, yes, this really is a culture of change. I am involved in it. I can weigh in on it, and I can help because I am customer facing, let's say, in this role. I get customer feedback all day, every day. I know the innovations that they're asking for. I need a way to channel that so that leadership can make decisions and change the way we're doing things. Okay, so that's a tip there. I won't spend an hour on each of these. Okay, well, I'm just going to run through them quick tips. Okay, so analysis is the A in Harmonious. Analysis, if we really have a company where innovation is a key, then on anything that we're doing in innovation, for us to show that we support it, is to have a different set of measures for looking at things if they were an innovative product, right? So we're looking at, let's have some notes here. Number of ideas proposed, the projects that are in the pipeline, time to market for a new innovation. So we had this idea. How long does it take for us to incubate it, actualize it, test it, send it out into the world, and get market feedback? We want to know what that speed is. And then the percentage of revenue from new products or services, to know, hey, every time we innovate, this is the kind of bump we get, or we're not so good at this. Like, we got it done, but it never really turns out the way that we hope it will. Let's now innovate our very process around innovation so that we get a better metric. So we're not so worried about projects failing, right? Or our ROI yet. So it's a time and place and cadence on your KPIs. If you are a truly innovative company, have a separate dashboard for those kinds of metrics. Risk and defense. So we need to manage our innovation risks with an iterative approach. Iterative, easy for you to say. Irish wristwatch, 5 times fast, go. So we're thinking this is fail fast in a small contained environment. This is do the beta, so it's not going to blow things up, break it, fix it, now get it out. It's doing things in a clean room, contained environment kind of thing. This helps with your risk and defense when you're thinking about innovation. Modify. Well, this is the whole thing. So modify for us is change management. The whole point of change management is to effectuate the uptake, the acceptance of change by all of the stakeholders. So something needs to change. We have created a change. Now everyone who touches that process, outcome, procedure, whatever it is, needs to adopt it. So we made a change, and now our clients need to adopt that and accept that, and so do our employees. or our coworkers or our stakeholders, however we refer to the players and actors within the game of value exchange that we're playing. Okay. So this is around how do we lay the groundwork for people to say, I knew this change was coming and now I'm accepting it. Last time I flew, I saw a poster right there as I'm standing in the endless line for TSA. And it said, hey, we got a new process coming by this date. Next year, some point, you're going to need a different ID in order to fly. They're starting to lay the groundwork for softening the beaches rather than we just show up one day and they say, got to do this. You got a week to do it. Hey, this is no way to get us to accept this change, normalize it. Right? This is true of employees with now we have a new process for something. Customers, now we have a new process for engaging with us, whatever that might be. Okay. But laying the groundwork for that and helping people to adopt change, that's what we mean when we're talking about innovation inside of the lens of modify. Operate. So this is your projects. So for us, as you know, Brandon, innovation is baked into every project. Why are we doing a project if not to effectuate change? The project is here to change something in the normal way we do things, either help us do something new or help us do something that we're doing in a better way. That's the only reason we should be allocating resources to a project. And so innovation had better be baked in there for what are we specifically trying to do? Better, faster, smarter. Keeping in mind our core values as the prime driver. We'll get into that in a minute. So an iterative, agile kind of project management system allows for that. And you need to be able to pivot in a project to say, hey, a market dynamic changed, something changed, and we need to pivot mid-stride in this project. If you don't have that baked in for lessons learned, to do postmortems on projects, and to iterate even your project management methodology itself, all of that should be on the table through every project. That's how you get maximum leverage out of doing every single one. Okay. Navigate. Okay. So everything starts with navigation for us. Your core values should be the lens before any project gets kicked off. So if we're saying for us, innovation doesn't live in change management because change will always happen. Life ceases to be without change. So we have to accept that change is always going to happen. But that's not, if innovation lived there, then we would just innovate all over the place constantly. Innovation has to live in process. So there is a process for innovation. And we channel that through projects in order to effectuate change in the world. This is how we contain it. This is the wires I'm talking about that run through the hallways rather than electricity just bursting forth everywhere and killing us all. So in navigation, the first thing in your project to kick off a project, if we're going to contain innovation, is to say, why are we doing this project? What are we trying to change? And who are the beneficiaries of this change? It had better be our clients first. If it is for us, then it better be through the lens of our core values, and so that we can be a better deliverer of our promise to our clients. If we would violate any of those core values because what we're going to get out of this project or this innovation or this change is more money, then we shouldn't do it, because we will then break our core values and our promises are worthless, because we know that if there's any amount of money that would make us deviate from those core values, then the core values are meaningless from the start. And then we shouldn't even be innovating anything, because we will innovate in the pursuit of money at some point and violate those core values. It is like a precursor to anything else you're doing, which is why core value assignment is so important. And we'll talk about that more next week. Inspiration, that's leadership. So leadership, it does no good to tell everybody to be innovative and then punish the people when their projects fail or when innovations don't work out. We've seen that. Oh, you wasted so much money, and they're screaming and yelling. You cannot be talking out of both sides of your mouth that way. The leaders must be the torchbearers, the agents of change, understanding that as the leader, They may have an inordinate amount of power to initiate change and can do it, if they're not doing it with an eye towards their core values or to proper project cadence and allocation of resources, they could just be walking around spitting out innovations all day, every day. And now nothing feels secure for employees. Nothing feels safe. Now, if they don't like a process, they're just not going to do it because next week you're going to come in and re-innovate it and do something new. And they have nothing, no ground to stand on. So you have to understand, as a leader, treat innovation then with kids' gloves at time, because you can really do a lot of damage if you're just sparking innovation everywhere. But you cannot quell it or squash it either. If you want a culture of innovation, you must be leading the way as a leader. And you got to model curiosity, adaptability, and forward-thinking mindset. Those are sort of the three pillars that you, as a leader, need to be modeling. Order. These are the processes that we were talking about. So they have to be built with a mind of continuous improvement, meaning we run these processes all day, every day, which means we get metrics on them all day, every day. And we are the first people who can see ways to tweak the engine a little bit to get a better efficiency, continuous improvement, right? That's where that should live. Not iterating for the sake of iterating, but saying this process goes 90 miles an hour. Could it be 100? Should it be 100? What if it were 100? Okay. Ubiquity. So this is an interesting one, because if we're going to be talking about ourselves as innovation, that's only important if innovation is not important to our customers. Then if we keep telling them how innovative we are, it sounds like we're just bragging about something that they don't even care about. And if they want some stability in their life and we keep talking about how innovative we are, we're chasing them right away. It's not a match. They're not really our clients. So if they are willing to pay more or stay longer or get more lifetime value, so they're either going to pay more for a product and service they can get somewhere else, or they're going to stay longer than they otherwise would because of the innovation, absolutely talk about it all day, every day, because it's truly one of the reasons why they're there with you in the first place. The other way to think about in the space of ubiquity or your marketing and sales around innovation is that this should be a major input into what you're innovating on and what you're seeking, because it is the sales force and the marketing that is having those interactions with the clients, and they better be asking the clients, is there a way we can do something differently, or do you need something different from us? They're the clients. And we've seen lots of businesses stuck right here, because clients are asking for something else. And this leader is taking the opinion that, well, that's because clients are stupid. They don't know what they need. I'll tell them what they need. Promise them what they want, but then give them what they need. You asshole, right? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but let's take that into account too, because you don't always have all the answers. And if you're going into it thinking you are, you're never going to get corrected. Great. And then last, serenity. Oh, sweet serenity. My favorite. I think, even though I say navigation is the most important, Brandon, I don't think I've ever said this. I think serenity is my favorite.
That's news to me. Is that because you work 1 minute a week, or why is that?
I'm working on trying to take a nap every day. Thank you. No, it is because it really is. When we get our clients to the state of serenity in their business, I don't mean that no problems happen. I don't mean when no problems happen. I don't mean when they've achieved all of their dreams and they are in a state of wantless nirvana. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when they have the space to breathe, to think, to start construct a new reality for themselves, to be able to have the space to question how their business runs and their impact in the world, and start to make those changes that really light them up. How could this not be my favorite? It's the essence of what the entire harmonious system is supposed to give them, serenity. Okay, so as it comes to innovation, yes, you can innovate ways that can now make give you more time in order to achieve that sense of serenity that we're looking for. That is one way to think of it. But I prefer to think of it as serenity is a component of the kind of innovation that we want to see you doing, right? So because there's the innovation that is the, gosh, I've never seen anybody get out of the building that way. Well, it was on fire. So because of the need, I had to fucking innovate real fast. Sorry, we're going blue on the show now. Are children watching? I hope not. Most adults aren't watching, so why would children watch? Anyway. It's only me and you in here anyway, right? So, I had to innovate because disaster was happening. That does happen a lot. What I am talking about is we saw it coming. We had enough space to see that the need for innovation was coming, the need for change. See, there's change. I would say this. It's not innovation when I'm forced to just take a radical action to avoid some kind of disaster. That is change management. Disaster struck. There's a hole in the Titanic. How do we now innovate, getting the hell off this boat before we all go down with it? That's disaster recovery. That's disaster. That's change management into disaster mitigation and disaster recovery. Great. Not talking about that. I'm talking about the innovation of we had the time to see things coming, to plan it out, to on our own timeline, create new things and bring them to light and bring them to the marketplace. Serenity is a requirement of that because you need the time for things to percolate. The idea will come when the idea comes. We're going to foster an environment for it. We're going to give it all the feeding and fuel that it needs in order to spark and grow. And then things will transpire in the time that they're supposed to transpire. That is the essence of serenity or innovation inside the discipline of serenity. And that's innovation in all 10 in like as fast as I could.
I think that last one's the most interesting though. And it's semi-ironic that S is the last letter in harmonious because it's not the order that we attack it with our clients.
No,
but it is the result of running a harmonious business. And what you're saying is evidently true with people. I'll give you the tale of two clients, right? When we're talking about innovation, so we have two current clients. One of them, only been working with them a few weeks at this point, a few months, and they got themselves into a place where they just need cash flow. They need stability. There's uncertainty, all of these things. You can't have those things exist with serenity at the same time. So for them to be able to innovate is literally impossible. There's this fear component about, am I going to make payroll next week? So how could you innovate? How could you disrupt the market? You need to stabilize the ship, figure out where the lifeboats are, and then we can move forward into calmer waters. On the flip side of that, so obviously no serenity there yet. We will get them there very quickly, but it's not there yet. The other client we've been working with much longer, and I'm thinking about the projects that we're working on with them this quarter, and they're almost all three of them are so innovative that will disrupt their entire market, their whole industry. They will be a leader in the industry within the next 90 days to 6 months because of what we're doing now, because there's so much serenity, because they've accomplished the other 9 letters first. So it's not a either or conversation, but the true innovation, I personally believe, can only come when you have serenity in at least the majority of those disciplines, because how could you just can't focus if there's fear coming from somewhere else.
No, and that's another reason why I make that distinction between change management and innovation, because change encompasses rapid path alteration. I'm not innovating when I say, there's an accident, I'm stuck, well, I'm going to take this route and go a different way to work. That is managing the need for change that was driven by some outside interruption. It actually isn't better to go this way to get there. So it's not an innovation. It's a change. It's rapid alteration of my movement through the vehicles, through the roadways that I have to get from A to B. That's all that is. And that is important because it's always necessary. It's not innovation. Innovation is we have the time, we have the data, we have the drive, and we have these ideas. And it seems like the time now is to allocate resources to it. What beautiful things can we dream up? That is a totally different thing. And that is a thing that is a process that needs driver, needs an impetus to start them. What triggers it, right? So we're working now with incredibly brilliant future thinkers, broad concepts that connect one to the next, wild jumps in expansive ideas. It could destroy everything if that is left untethered, if that is left to run rampant, because how do you get a hold of that? How do you make any decisions? Because we then are asked to decide primarily when there's that much innovation being driven by the leadership. Our job then reverts to, so now we need to encourage that, but also collapse the quantum field of all the things we could be doing into, is it a wave or is it a particle? Today it's a particle. This is what we're doing, and we have to do it in order to build the foundation for any of those other wild things. So we can let that spin, let that then be pulled into a place where it can be incubated appropriately until the time is right for us to allocate resources to it. That then becomes our role.
You talked about this before. I don't know if it was before we started recording or if it was on the show, but everybody wants to innovate. Big air quotes on that one. They want to be a market leader. They want to do something wild and crazy that they'll be recognized for. If you want to do that, give yourself an innovation grab bag. I think you described it as a prize bucket, right? Put your ideas in the bucket, let them sit. If you don't have the serenity to really focus and you don't have the resources to allocate to it, it shouldn't become a project yet. The company I told you about before, that's in full fear and panic mode, I would never advise them to disrupt their market and to be innovative. Right now, you need to be clear on what your next step is, and then we'll push that out. We'll push that runway out and keep pushing it out. When you're stable, then we can reach into the prize bucket and pull out some innovation, and we can work
because if they're trying to innovate, when they're steeped in fear, lack, need, their operant driver is the making of money. And that is going to cloud their judgment as to whether or not they're in violation of their core values or their mission.
Yep.
And once they do that in some kind of money grab, they've destroyed the whole thing. And look at that. You and I were in a mastermind that said all the right things. And then once we realized what their true driver was, in one glaring misstep, then that was why months later, when you said to me at Cryans over a beer and pretzel bites, or whatever the hell we were doing, you said, "Did you hear the latest?" And I said, "Let me guess." And I told you the next 5 ridiculous things they were probably doing. And you said, "How is that possible? Did you hear that from somebody?" I said, "No. Once you understand that their core values can be supplanted by a grab for money, and they're going to call it an innovation, even though it's rapid change, then of course those are the things they're going to do, because that next innovation that they had, the next thing they were rolling out, was completely self-serving on their part. Had nothing to do with furthering their mission."
You could say in that very moment, I was unblinded to the power of the harmonious architecture. I'll stop. I was thinking this when you said it, by the way. Shout out to Greg. Of course, you're going to bring quantum physics into this episode and this discussion. We can't have an episode from now until forever. You're always going to have to bring in quantum physics into everything we talk about.
And Dr. Greg Kimball and the final percent, because if you're looking for a mastermind, if you're looking for a room of like-minded, beautiful people doing incredible things in the world, Greg Kimball and his band of ragtag geniuses and heart-centered entrepreneurs is exactly the kind of room you should be in and play in, because it's a wonderful, brilliant place that gives you the serenity you need in order to make the right strategic decisions, and then feeds the innovative ideas through the kind of ecosystem that he's created there. So well done, Dr. Greg Kimball and the Final Percent. Check him out.
That's right. I will be there next week in person, in the flesh, in Denver. I can't wait.
As they say.
As
they say.
But that's enough on innovation and where it shows up in your business. A story popped in my head for all 10 of the examples you gave. So maybe there's 10 more episodes on this. I don't know. We'll save that for a later date. You teased next week's topic. Do you want to?
Big tease.
You are a big tease. You want to shout it out here or wait till next week?
Let's wait till next week, but we'll tease it
Deal.
here by massive announcement next week about some incredible value we're going to be able to deliver to everybody in the sound, who can hear the sound of my voice. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be great. I wouldn't miss next week.
I love it. Wherever you're watching, subscribe on whatever platform. If you're watching, if you're listening on a podcast platform, we want to have you back. We put out 1 episode a week. If you want more, if you could even handle more Harmonious in your business, go check out my other podcast, Harmonious at Lunch. It's on all the same platforms. We release an episode a day, bite-sized nuggets of how to build a more harmonious business and life. But if not, that's okay. We love you. We will see you next week here on the Ether. Sean?